Greetings everyone! As the update drought continues, I am really starting to scrape the bottom of the Skyblock content barrel. But you all seem to enjoy the video about helmets I posted a month ago, so today we're going to be talking about pet items. You know what they are. They make your already good pets even gooder. I can't believe I just said that. Starting off with the most basic of the basic, XP boosting ones. No beating around the bush, these are all great. The only one you could say isn't that great is the foraging one. Because, well, you know, foraging. But it's still good. Basically, if you're leveling up a pet via mining, use a mining XP boost, etc, etc. Then there's the somewhat overlooked all skill super XP boost. Now you might be wondering, since you usually level up a pet grinding one specific skill, what use is there in putting this on something? Well, you see, if you go through all of these carefully, you might notice that there's no enchanting or alchemy XP boosts. And these two just so happen to be pretty efficient ways of leveling up a pet. Especially if you're looking to level up something like a golden dragon via alchemy. Also, if you're thinking about crafting one, just buy the Zog anvil from the auction house. It's usually way cheaper than crafting it, because so many people misclick and quick craft it. Which is honestly really funny. But it's not that funny when you do it yourself. Come on bro, what the fuck? Similarly, I feel like you should misclick on the red button below the video. And then misclick on this one too. Thank you in advance. Okay, moving on. The XP share is very unique, and if you really don't want to go through the process of leveling up a pet, you can just slap it on them and they'll be max level after about 2.3 millennia. Now time for the battalion of completely power-crapped pet items. These aren't even worth going over. I mean 5 crit chance for 750k coins? No sir. 15 crit damage for 1 million? Yeah, I don't think so bro. You can also upgrade them to give slightly higher stats. For the small price of one of your kidneys. The only one that maybe has some use is the Iron Claws, but again, the price is just way too high. The Spooky Cupcake is pretty epic. Well, actually it's uncommon. The strength and speed boost it provides is very impactful for early game players, and I highly recommend using it over basically anything else if you're just starting out. The speed it gives is especially helpful in dungeons. Cupcake Goog. Textbook, oh textbook. It's geared towards mages, and mages don't really have any other pet items in a similar price range. That being said, it's not that cheap, gives 100 intelligence at best, and honestly I'd say that the Spooky Cupcake is just better because of the 20 speed it gives. The only use this has is for necromancy. I don't recommend this one. The Lucky Clover is the only pet item that increases magic find, and you know how much people like magic find, so of course it's good. Its main use is on a black cat, because that's the pet that gives you the most magic find. Its use is very limited, but nonetheless, it goog. The saddle. Even the wiki knows what's up, because the only real use of this thing is to get this one achievement. And then you can never look at it again. Bubblegum's actually a pretty interesting one. The orbs here include all the power orbs, and this thing. Which I don't think anyone has ever used for its intended purpose, but rather as a mega budget cake soul. Oh my god bro, I got ooh Goldie, that's huge! Back to Bubblegum now. Boosting all power orbs isn't a bad ability at all, and combined with a cheap price tag, it's a really solid choice for early game healers. Just kidding, it costs 5 million coins because fuck. This next one's probably one of the coolest. The tier boost basically just upgrades the rarity of your pet by 1 level, capping at legendary. It's a really good pet item, no doubt, but it's also very expensive. So expensive in fact that every pet this could be relevant on is cheaper to just buy at legendary. That is, except for the Ender Dragon. Basically, if you want to buy a legendary Ender Dragon without a pet item for way cheaper, this thing's great. No other use for it as of right now though. Speaking of no other use, the Jerry 3D glasses just have no use. Like at all. I mean the entire Jerry pet is a meme, what did you really expect? Okay, now time for some actually good ones. The Mythological Rituals event is home to some of the best pet items in the whole game. In fact, probably the best one, the Dwarf Turtle Helmet. It makes you immune to knockback. That's it. But this is way more impactful than you might think at first. People often rather go with items that make them do more damage. But just think about it for a second. When you're getting knocked around like this, it doesn't really matter how much damage you have because you can't hit anything. But if you have the Dwarf Turtle Helmet, you can just stand still and click away peacefully. That's why this item is also an indirect damage boost on top of making combat way less annoying. This is especially noticeable in boss fights with many enemies, and is by far the best pet item for dungeons as a whole, no matter which class you play. The Crochet Tiger plushie boosts your attack speed and is generally pretty solid if you can't get maximum attack speed with your talismans. This is especially useful for weapons like the Juju Shortbow, where attack speed really matters, but it is an early game item. You will eventually convert to a Shelmet. The Antique Remedies is another early game pet item. It costs practically nothing and nearly doubles the strength your pet gives. Honestly, kind of underrated if you ask me, but I still like the Spooky Cupcake more. The Minos relic seems broken until you realize what pet stats actually are. Let's take a look at the Black Cat for example. At max level, the Black Cat gives 100 intelligence and 25 speed as its stats. On top of this, it also has free abilities. The Black Cat is mainly used because of its high magic find and raising your speed cap, and neither of these come from stats, they come from abilities. If you gave a Minos relic to a Black Cat, it'd give it a whopping 8.3 extra speed and 33.3 extra intelligence.
Poo-poo. Poo-poo. Pee-pee poo-poo.
Wow, broken. Now there are a few pets whose stats are very impactful, the main two being Sheep and Tiger. But then you see how much this thing costs, and yeah, basically not very worth it. There are some very niche scenarios in which you'd want it, but those are too few and far between to justify the price tag in my opinion. This pet item could definitely become good in the future though. It's just that the perfect pet for it doesn't exist yet. The washed up souvenir is anything but washed up. It gives 5 sea creature chance, and what more could you really ask for? It's pretty cheap and very impactful. Compare this to the Deep Sea Orb, which applies a reforge that gives you less than 1 sea creature chance and is like 10 times as expensive, and people still buy that. That's when you start to appreciate how great the washed up souvenir really is. The Vampire Fang seems completely busted at first. The same 5 extra sea creature chance, higher chance to catch spooky creatures, and it increases your pet's street cred by making it become pink. Compared to the washed up souvenir, this thing looks amazing. But then you take a look at the Bat Pet and it all starts to fall apart. Sadly, even the Vampire Fang can't make the bat compete with the Dolphin, let alone the Ammonite. I really don't know why they went with this design route for it, instead of just boosting what the Bat Pet already did well, getting candies. The Reaper Gem sounds cool, but it's not that great. Ferocity is most useful for high HP single target enemies, and when you're fighting those, you're definitely not going to be proccing this thing's ability. As far as I understand, you can only get 1 per profile, which makes it incredibly rare. Despite this, it's still very cheap, which should tell you just how unviable it is. Much like the Jerry 3D glasses, the Flying Pig pet item is also a complete meme. Its most notable feature was being able to grief other people's farms when it came out, which was admittedly hilarious, but that's it. Moving on. Now for the final pet item currently in the game, the Quick Claw. The Quick Claw is the best and only mining pet item. It's good, it basically gives you 100 mining speed and 50 mining fortune when your pet is level 100. The mining speed is whatever, but 50 mining fortune goes a long way. But it's not exactly cheap, so you can decide for yourself whether it's worth the extra mining stats. As cool as pet items are, I can't help but see all the wasted potential and missed opportunities. Why are there so few? Why is the Dwarf Turtle Shelmet just so much better than everything else combat related? Or rather, why is everything else pee-pee poo-poo? Why is there 1 pet item for fishing, 1 for mining, and like 0 for everything else except combat? Why do these still exist? Why are we still here? Why are you still here? It's the end of the video. Go do your homework or something. I'm sorry, that was a bit mean. Goodbye everyone.